All right. Looks like we can call the meeting to order. And I'd like to say happy holidays to everyone. This will be our kind of and happy of the year. Looks like we got a pretty good amount of stuff to talk about. But if we could get Robin to kind of do a roll call for our introductions, all the board members and guests. We got some guests.
John Dory.
I am here.
Dolly Holland.
I see her waiting.
Matt Montgomery.
I'm here, yep.
He was on here. I think Dave may have gone off.
I'm here.
Christian Wellman. Here. Aaron Tipton. Pam Hatcher. Here. Connie Schnell. Here. Brian Henson.
Here.
Donna Angel. Here. Tiffany Walls.
See her up there.
Here.
There she is.
David Sturgill.
Here.
Stacy Thurman.
Here.
Steve Conley.
Here.
Mike Riley.
Here.
Stacy May.
I am here, but your audio is cutting in and out. Is anyone else experiencing that who's listening online?
Yes.
And my audio is not great either.
Yeah,
It's hard to hear.
Better or worse? Tiffany Reeves. Here. Rolando Thacker.
Here.
Jeremy Hurd.
Here.
Jennifer Hayes.
Here.
Todd Blanton.
Here.
Kelly Rhodes. Here. Hannah Gregory. Here. Colin Mosley.
Here.
Judge Mike Williams.
I'm here.
And Deputy Judge Mingy. Here. Chris Sanders.
Here.
Tebony. Here. And Deb Giordano.
Here, thank you.
Okay, I think I got everyone. If not, speak now.
I don't think you called me, Michelle Deans,
Oh, Michelle.
or if you did, I didn't hear you.
Thank you. No, I did not have.
Yeah, Daniel King as well. I didn't hear my name, but I'm here too.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else that wasn't called?
I didn't hear my name, but
There's Micah.
Micah. We can't, we've got so many people, all of your names don't fit at the top. So, perfect.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to the meeting, and we've got some good presentations, it looks like, for this meeting. Our first presentation, we got County Judge Executive Mike Williams to talk about Bourbon County.
And he's coming or standing next. I have these, I know a lot of you have these printouts of the slideshow. If you don't have one and need one, just raise your hand and I'll bring it to you. Everybody have it? Good.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Robin. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Mike Williams. I'm the Bourbon County Judge Executive. I'm in my third term. I think I'm the oldest county judge in the grass head. I'm not sure that means anything, but
The more experience.
more experience, the most experienced person, not the most experienced county judge in the grass head. I'd like to let you know that we have our deputy judge, Mrs. Dana Mingy, with us. I assure you that Dana Mingy is the talent and skills associated with this team. I'm just the figurehead. Dana put this presentation together and it is just a great addition to our team. She's been deputy judge for a little over 6 months now, right? So we're very fortunate to have her. She worked for the county and the city of Paris in our economic development group prior to becoming our deputy judge. And she's just a great talent and quite an asset for us. I want to talk about Bourbon County and some of the business related things that are going on in Bourbon County. Now, understand that Anderson County had already presented to you. I assume Aubrey Britton was here.
Yes.
No matter what Aubrey Britton told you, Bourbon County is the center of the universe.
He did bribe us with, sweets. some
Yeah.
sweets.
Bourbon King.
I heard that.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Fudge. I remember
Not going to
that.
happen, sorry.
You're trying to sweeten this up. That's what
Yeah.
We could have brought turkey and mingy jerky, but.
Is that your name,
Pizza
sir?
and beef jerky.
I love that.
Uh, Jeremy's going to roll through some slides for us. I just want to share with you some of the things that we're doing that we believe is an enhancement, collectively, an enhancement to economic development in Bourbon County, consequently an impact, obviously, to jobs in Bourbon County. And I know that's what you're worried about and concerned about and supportive of and advocates for. And I want you to have an understanding of Bourbon County in that sense. Bourbon County has an incredibly rich history. Obviously, it was one of the original 4 counties of the state of Kentucky. If you didn't know that, it was actually originally a county in Virginia. 48 of the current counties in Kentucky were once part of Bourbon County. Geographically, the landmass of 48 different counties were part of Bourbon County. So we've got a long and rich history, without question, primarily still an agricultural-based economy. And we'll talk a little bit about that, or I will a little bit later. But I just want to go through some of the projects that are going on in Bourbon County that we're working on to enhance economic development in Bourbon County. One of the things that's unique about Bourbon County is, from my perspective, as responsible for enhancing the economy of the community, is that Bourbon County hasn't changed in probably a century and a half. Our population in the 1910 census was the same population we had in the 2010 census. So that's unique in central Kentucky. All the counties surrounding us, certainly Fayette County and all the surrounding counties did grow over that century. Bourbon County did not. That was intentional. There were folks that lived in Bourbon County and still some folks that live in Bourbon County, as is true with every community, that don't want anything to change. Consequently, our population was unchanged. We're starting to make a little movement now, but I think a lot of the experts even project in the next census that we'll lose population in Bourbon County. So my responsibility, my task, my challenge is to change that and prove those experts wrong. It's primarily an agricultural-based economy. It's dominated by the thoroughbred horse industry. And there's been a concerted effort to keep that as the dominant factor in the economy in Bourbon County. The fact of the matter is there are about, and again, I don't want to get ahead of myself and talk about agriculture, but there are about 1,500 producers of agriculture in Bourbon County. Half of those are thoroughbred horse farms. That is the prevailing wealth in the community. There's a lot of wealth in Bourbon County, a lot of old money and a lot of new money in Bourbon County. I don't have it. I don't think Dana has a lot of it, but there's a lot of wealth in Bourbon County. But our most significant wealth is the people, certainly, and our heritage. And we want to do everything we can to keep our most important asset, which is our young people in Bourbon County. The predominant demographic in Bourbon County are people that are 60 years old or older. I think we're up around 45, 46% of the people that live in Bourbon County are 60 years old or older. That does not bode well for a tax base. If you think about my perspective from local government, that doesn't bode well for the future. So we've got to change that. We have to keep the young people that graduate from Bourbon County High School and Paris High School and Bourbon Christian Academy in Bourbon County, or give them the reason to come back to Bourbon County. I've lived there all my life, but I didn't work there. I spent 30 years at IBM. The last 22 years of those 30 years, I was an HR manager at IBM. So I've hired a lot of people, done a lot of recruiting, done a lot of the things that many of you do, I know. So I have some understanding of what it takes to get good employees and maintain and keep good employees and keep them trained. I learned a lot of things as an HR manager at IBM. If I have any talent or skill, most of that came from my 30 years at IBM, I assure you. I had the privilege to be the manager in charge of college recruiting for IBM for a couple of years. IBM managers take turns doing that. That was quite an interesting experience. I traveled around the country going to college and university campuses, conducting job fairs. That's what I did for a living for many years. So I have an understanding of what the challenges are. And one of the things I know I learned, whether you're interested or not, in those days as an IBM college recruiter, was that colleges and universities don't teach kids anything about the work they're going to do. We hire people from colleges and universities, and I know we don't want to talk exclusively about that, but the kids that IBM hired from colleges and universities learn nothing about the current business environment, no matter what school they went to. It didn't matter whether it was UK, Transy, Center, Notre Dame, University of Florida, wherever it was. IBM would hire people and then train them how to do their job. Because what they were teaching in the colleges and universities was either 10 years behind in technology, or it made no sense in the business world. So you had to retrain people after you hired them. Whether or not that's true today, I don't know. It's been a long time since I was in that role, and you all may have a different experience, and I hope that's changed some. I'm also an advocate. I spent 12 years on the Bourbon County School Board, which was quite interesting. It was the toughest job I ever had. It was, being a county judge is much easier than being on the local school board, I assure you. I still am disturbed by the fact that our high schools, public high schools, still try to convince kids that the only or the best option they have is to go to college and get a 4-year degree. That is not true. Considering the economics or the economic impact of the future, that is no longer true. It may have been true at one time, but it's no longer true. I assure you of that. And you may think very differently, and I'll be glad to debate that with you if you'd like to. But our public schools still very much try to convince kids that their best option is to go to a 4-year college or university. That's just not true. The world that we live in needs a lot of folks that don't need to go to 4-year colleges and universities. And you all know better than I probably. My understanding there's always between 80 and 100,000 open positions in the state of Kentucky that to fill those positions, you need like 6 months to a year training in some technical school. Is that still true today, Rolando?
Give or take, there's that learning curve.
That bubbles up and down, but that's the world that we live in today. And we all know that if we're employers, and the Bourbon County Fiscal Court is an employer, just like many of you all are, it's tough to hire people these days, isn't it? So one of the things that we're certainly concerned with in Bourbon County, like most communities, is our workforce utilization numbers. And I believe sincerely that everybody that wanted to go to work that lives in Bourbon County got up and went to work this morning. It doesn't mean that everybody that could go to work got up and went to work this morning. That's the unfortunate part of it. We're like, I think we're pretty close to what the state average is. We're like 56.8% or something like that in Bourbon County. I think our state's still like 49, 48th or 49th in the nation workforce utilization. And that's a challenge for all of us. I'm talking about a lot of things. Robin promised me I could have an hour and a half of your time. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. She didn't. Let's go to the next slide. I want to talk to you again about some specific projects, if you could hear me. We, one of the first things I did when I took office in 2015 is put a committee together to plan for a recreation complex. Bourbon County historically has not had great recreation facilities. What's happened over the years is that when someone had some land that was in a floodplain or they didn't have any other use for it, couldn't be used for anything else, they would give it to the city of Paris or Bourbon County Fiscal Court for a park. All right, so consequently, that's what we have today. Our park system is a lot of areas that flood and a lot of areas that are difficult to get to. One of the things I wanted to do was to develop a recreation complex that was good for the people of Bourbon County, and with two goals in mind: to enhance the quality of life of the people of Bourbon County, but also to enhance our economic development and certainly make us more appealing to communities or businesses that might consider moving to Bourbon County. That's the thing Dana would tell you, her experience in working with her economic development director, Gordon Wilson. The first question they'll get asked is, where are my kids going to play soccer? Where am I going to take a ball? Where am I going to play tennis? All those kinds of things. Many of you all may experience that and be aware of that. So one of the things we wanted to do to put Bourbon County on the map, so to speak, for other businesses or potential businesses is to develop a recreation complex that has something for everybody. So we worked with CMW Architects. If you're familiar with that firm here in Lexington, we have a wonderful young man, Brad Boaz, who some of you may know, that's done the architecture work and developed this master plan. So our intent is to develop this plan. This is on a 329 acre site in Bourbon County, just outside of Paris, US 68 between Paris and Millersburg. It's about a mile from the Paris city limits. Our intent is to build everything you see there in time. Now that's about a $60 million development plan. Bourbon County Fiscal Court doesn't have $60 million to spend on developing this site, but we hope to do that. Maybe it'll happen in my lifetime, maybe it won't. But you can't finish a project like this unless you start it. We took a long time to find a piece of property that was suitable. This is a perfect piece of property. This was a farm, a working farm that had been farmed probably for a century and a half at least. We bought this property. CMW put the master plan together. We've actually broken ground on one venue, the one that you see in the front, and that roadway is US 68. It's a 4-lane road between Paris and Millersburg. In the front there, where you can see by the entrance, is what we call our court sports venues: tennis courts, basketball courts, and pickleball courts. Does anybody here play pickleball? Nobody? Well, I was the only one left.
I got you.
Who knew? Pickleball is on ESPN now, right? So there was a great demand for pickleball courts in Bourbon County. There were none. So that's what the venue we're developing. We broke ground last summer, and the Hinkle company, Hinkle Construction Services, is actually in the process of building that site as we speak. So we're looking forward to that. We picked that particular part of the master plan because it was the least expensive to do initially. Plus, we put it in that location because it was the most visible from the roadway. We want people to see what we're doing, that we're actually serious about that project. I know you know that just like Fayette County, 70% of the nation's population can drive to that park in one daylight day. Whether you're in New York City or Philadelphia, Atlanta, wherever you are, 70% of the population can drive to that site in one daylight day. Start when the sun comes up, and you can be on that property before it gets dark. That's a fact. So it's again, our ability to attract folks to come to this property and participate in whatever the activity is. We've already had 3 state cross-country championship events on that property. When, back in 2020, when nobody else was willing to host such an event in the state of Kentucky, I believe it was held at the horse park for many years. We raised our hand and said, you can have it here. And we did. So in the intensity of the pandemic, we did everything that state and federal government and local health departments said we needed to do to host the state cross-country championship. We did that in 2021 and 22. I think we went back to the horse park this year. But we wanted to have some visibility to the property to demonstrate that people could get to this property. You can, now, one of the examples we used in our development was the park in Elizabethtown. Have any of you been to the park in Elizabethtown? That is a tremendous site. They've got a great venue. It's difficult to get to if you try to find it without your GPS especially. But this site, you can get on US 68 in Detroit, Michigan, come all the way to that site and make one left turn and you're on that property. It's very accessible. It's very easy to get to. We had great reviews from the folks that participated in there. We also had a couple of national cross-country events on the site when Nike sponsors a national championship cross-country event every year out in Portland, Oregon. And Portland, Oregon said, no, you can have it here. We've got a pandemic going on, so we're not going to allow that to happen. So we raised our hand and said, you can have it in Bergen County. And they did. They did. It rained the whole weekend, so it was a difficult situation, but it happened. And we had participants in that event from all 50 states, including Alaska and Hawaii, drive to Bergen County. They didn't drive from Alaska or Hawaii. They flew to wherever, and then they got on a bus or in a car or whatever, and drove to Bergen County. We had participants and spectators from all 50 states on that property for that national event. We've had each one of the state championship years, we've had participants and spectators from all 120 counties on that property. And that's our goal, bring people to Bergen County. Those people come to Bergen County to spend their money. All right, that's what we wanted. So we wanted to enhance our local businesses, our retail businesses. People buy gas, they go to the restaurants, they do all those things, and that's part of what we're trying to do. But we're also trying to enhance the quality of life for the people of Bergen County. We're going to make the pickleball players real happy when this opens up, probably the end of spring or in June, we hope. So Mary, you can move to the next one. The next major project that I wanted to mention was an enhancement of US 460 highway between Paris and Georgetown. Now this is from the Transportation Cabinet, an aerial view of the portion of it that's actually mostly in Scott County. That road is currently being built in Bergen County. Centerville is on the left. That is actually in Bergen County, and just about a half a mile from Centerville, which is literally halfway between Cynthia and Lexington. If you've ever been down Russell Cave Road, that's why it's called Centerville. That's in Bergen County. About half a mile out the road, you get into Scott County. Then over on the right, you see I-75 in Georgetown, the edge of I-75 in Georgetown there. At one time in the early 1950s, US 460 between Paris and Georgetown was the deadliest highway in the United States. It's a terrible road, has no shoulders, it's up and down hills, it's curves that you can't see around, all those terrible things that cause accidents and make it very difficult to traverse. We had a goal to fix that. Reason being, primarily our motivation was to enhance business. Businesses won't send trucks across that road because it's so dangerous. Our largest employer, which I'll mention here in a minute, CMWA, which makes wheels for the Toyota plant in Georgetown, will not send a truck load of wheels to the Georgetown plant on that road, which is obviously the shortest distance between 2 points. They drive to Cynthiana on US 27, and they get on US 62 in Cynthiana and then drive to Georgetown because it's much safer. They turned over several truckloads of aluminum and steel wheels going to the Toyota plant on that road. So they made a business decision not to use that road anymore. So what we wanted to do, and we applied for and received a $10.2 billion grant from the federal government to enhance that roadway, and we're partnering with the transportation cabinet to enhance the roadway. It's not going to be a 4-lane road, and I'll share with you the reason it's not going to be a 4-lane road. It's enhancing the roadway. It's going to have paved shoulders. If you want to change slides here, me, there's this is a rendering from the architect about how it's going to improve. It's going to be safer to drive on, so businesses will send their trucks across it. It's an alleyway, obviously, a way for vehicles for business to get from I-75 to Paris. We did not have a safe corridor from I-75 to Paris. So that was our motivation. So we partnered with the federal government, the transportation cabinet, the state transportation cabinet, and the local businesses are actually contributing to the cost of building this roadway. It's about around a $35 million project. The funding has been secured for the Bourbon County portion. And that's what's going on right now. If you have any reason to go from Georgetown to Paris or the other direction, you'll be frustrated about the construction, but you can't make that on without cracking those eggs, right? So that's what's going on. Scott County Fiscal Court is partnering with us. They're working on securing all the funding for the Scott County portion. That previous slide that Jimmy had up there is actually in Scott County, but it's considered a Bourbon County project because it starts in Bourbon County. It ends up in Georgetown, but it's a Bourbon County project. It's along with a portion of the project. So that hopefully is going to be financed in the coming legislative session, and the transportation cabinet will move forward with that. They've already provided the funding for buying the right of way and for the design and engineering portion of it that's being spent as we speak. They're trying to determine the final right of way passage for the roadway. The portion that's being built today in Bourbon County had 78 different properties that were affected by that development. So the transportation cabinet had to negotiate with 78 different property owners to get that project started. In the history of the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, they had the most inquiries from attorneys for any road project that's ever been built in the state of Kentucky, because it's mostly horse farms along that corridor. So there was a lot of concern. There was a lot of threats to sue and to stop the project, but it's happening. So we've made progress. Next one I wanted to mention is more local to Paris. We have a significant industrial park in Paris where some of our best and largest employers are located. We only currently have one entrance to that industrial park, and that is off of US 460 from oriented right, Dana. Looking, 460 is up the top of the page. The larger road on the far right is the Paris bypass. So the red line or the pink line or whatever color that is, coming off the Paris bypass is going to be a second entrance into the industrial park. We have about 75 acres of land left to sell there. So businesses that are currently there, as well as potential businesses, are excited about having a second entrance, a safe entrance into the industrial park. So that's important to enhance business growth in Bourbon County. This is one that's not necessarily so much related to business, but in a roundabout way, it impacts our workforce without question. Uh, This is a joint effort by the Nicholas County Fiscal Court and the Bourbon County Fiscal Court to build an industrial park. This land is actually, the bottom outline yellow is land that we went together and formed a joint economic development authority to buy land. We applied for and received a grant from the Kentucky Product Development Initiative grant process. And we bought that land, we purchased it last summer and closed on it to develop an industrial park that's actually physically in Nicholas County, that's very close to the Bourbon County line. Maybe a couple hundred feet from the Bourbon County line. So we were very comfortable doing that. It's really close to Millersburg. We believe that it's going to enhance potential business growth and housing development in that part of Bourbon County and certainly in Nicholas County. We applied for the second round of PDI grants. Unfortunately, we're not awarded, and it's as old as I am, I have a significant discomfort sometimes with bureaucracy and the way things work in state government as well as federal government. The Kentucky Product Development Initiative was presented to the state and all county governments as to encourage regionalism, to work together with your neighbors to grow business and create jobs. That's what the money's for. The second round of grant allocations, the Kentucky state government hired a consulting firm, Site Selection Group as a company, to go through the grant applications and decide who would be awarded and who wouldn't. And we were not awarded. And we had a meeting with the Site Selection Group folks. And one of the questions I asked them was, did the state of Kentucky or anybody in state government in Kentucky tell you what the criteria was to be selected? And the answer was no. So my question was, nobody in state government told you that you need to look for folks that are working together, counties working together, counties and cities? And the answer was no. So the state government in Kentucky did not direct a company that they hired to make those selections to do what the whole program is all about. So we'll figure out how to deal with that. That's right. You go past those roadblocks and you figure out what to do. But we bought the land. That's the most important thing. We've already have a potential business that wants to buy 25 acres there and build a business to develop, they call alternative fuels. It's wood products that they want to manufacture there. Significant business. They'll use 7,700 train car loads of product a year they ship out. But everything is there. We have water, the electricity. Columbia Gas has a line going through the property. The MB Railroad is on that property. That's a railroad, a short line railroad that goes from Paris to Maysville. It used to be called PTI, and it's owned by CSX. It's a new company now. It's called MB Rail. That stands for Midwest Bluegrass Rail Company. Some young men that I think mostly were associated with R.J. Corman formed this company. And they bought this rail line from Paris to Maysville to ship freight from Paris to Maysville. This used to be a railroad that was primarily used to transport coal. There were 5 to 6 train loads of coal that went up this railroad every day, 7 days a week, to the Ohio River, to a port in Maysville. And there hasn't been a rail train load of coal go up that rail since 2016. So basically it's sitting there idle, but so we're trying to figure out ways to take advantage of the rail access, which is very important these days as trucking and fuel continues to go up and up in cost. The railroads are all of a sudden more important than they have been probably for 50 or 60 years. This is a project that's contained within the city of Paris. Paris in Bourbon County. Paris like a lot of communities over the years, this is related to what we as a community consider a social and environmental injustice that has been in place for decades, literally probably about a century in Paris. Many years ago, solid waste disposal sites were placed in neighborhoods that had the least political resistance. Consequently, we have a solid waste transfer station in Paris that is right basically on the edge of what is predominantly an African-American neighborhood. So if you think about the days when all the cities had their own garbage trucks and the garbage trucks would collect the solid waste around the community, they'd go right up on the streets of this neighborhood every day, Monday through Friday, to haul this solid waste to what was then called a dump. Everybody had a city dump. All of you are too young to remember those days, but it was called the city dump, right? So the garbage trucks are going up through the neighborhood. It's dangerous on the streets. Stuff's falling off the trucks and polluting the neighborhood. But again, it was in a community that had the least political strength to do anything about it. So we recognize that injustice, in the city of Paris came to the Bourbon County Fiscal Court and asked if there was any appropriate location where we could relocate the solid waste transfer station. So the Bourbon County Fiscal Court has agreed to give through a long-term lease, a 100-year lease to the city of Paris, the land that you see there. The new facility that's planned is over to the left in the darker gray area. The building, the large building to the right is a current business. The roadway that you see, I don't have a pointer. I keep pointing like I think you all know what I'm talking about. The 4-lane road or at the top is the Paris bypass. You turn off the bypass and you turn into this area, which is owned by the Bourbon County Fiscal Court. Not on that view is the Bourbon County Regional Detention Center to the right, for instance. So the Bourbon County Fiscal Court owns all this land. So we said, sure, you can use this land to relocate solid waste transfer station. Now we have to call it Solid Waste and Recycling Convenience Center now. We can't call it a dump, we can't call it a transfer station, we have to use the fancy word. So Bluegrass Ad worked with the city of Paris to secure a community development block grant to help pay for the new facility. $2.2 million, I believe, the budget for the development of the site is about $4 million. They went through the bid opening process about a month ago, and all the bids came in at about $6 million. So they're rethinking that, or going to have to go through that process again. But that's what's going on in the construction world today. But it's going to correct, as I said, social and environmental injustice that's been going on in Bourbon County. This has happened across our state, without question. I can't remember where solid waste was. Do all of you know that there's a landfill on Old Frankfurt Pike? If you're old enough to remember that, the Lexington and Bourbon County government hauled all their solid waste to that. Now it's a nice area. There's a lot of green space there, I think now. But anyway, we have a contract with Rumpke. Rumpke collects all the solid waste in Bourbon County and Paris, and they haul it away. So this is not a place where people will go and dump solid waste. This is a place where you can take things and recyclables, take solid waste and recyclables to that location, and Rumpke will haul it away. That's what it's all about. So and the next slide is just another, I think that just a closer rendering of what that facility will actually be. So we're very excited about that. The community, the neighborhood that currently has all these trucks driving through it every day is really excited about it. West Side Neighborhood Association are very happy about it. So we're looking forward to the completion of this process. Community Development Block Grant has to be spent, I think, by the end of 2025. I think that's the target. they're under a time constraint to get a bid and get a contract going. And because they can't do anything with reclaiming the old site until the new site is operational. One of the other associated activities that's going on is for grant applications for greenfield monies that the federal government is really pushing. There's a lot of potential money for reclaiming old sites like this. And we don't know what's under the ground. We don't know what's buried there. I mean, it's like any other small community, former city dump. That's what it is. So there's a lot of excitement in the community about the change that's going to happen once we get the new center built and we're able to close and reclaim the current site. Agriculture. Bourbon County is a leader in agriculture in many, many ways. Bourbon County has the highest dollar value of horse flesh standing of any county in the United States. There's currently $1.97 billion worth of horses standing today in Bourbon County. More than Fayette County, it's more than Woodford County, certainly more than Anderson County. I don't know if they have any horses in Anderson. There's already written code yet. That certainly is one of our claims to fame. That's part of our heritage. We know that. I think more than 60% of the Kentucky Derby winners were sired and born and raised in Bourbon County. I think 37 Derby winners were owned by people who lived in Bourbon County. The thoroughbred horse industry is part of our heritage, and a big part of our heritage. It's huge, but it's not everybody, right? It's not everybody. They also rank in the top 5 of the counties in producing beef cattle in the state of Kentucky. Historically, and again, you may or may not remember back in the days when we had Burley tobacco was pretty dominant in central Kentucky. Bourbon County was traditionally either first or second in production of burley tobacco in the state of Kentucky. And one result of that is, as you know, there's no longer a federal price support program for tobacco product grown in the United States. And as a result of the lawsuit against the tobacco producers back in the 90s, the settlement benefits producers, farming producers in the United States, and Kentucky gets a lot of that money. Traditionally, Bourbon County will get the second highest amount of money each year from what we call phase 1 settlement money. And this money will go on forever. It will be coming from the tobacco companies after everyone in this room is long gone. It will never end as long as anybody in the world is buying tobacco products. Other countries are raising tobacco. We're just not raising it in Kentucky like we used to. So we always competed with Graves County, Mayfield. Graves County and Bourbon County took turns being the #1 producer in Kentucky. So that's certainly part of our heritage. Once the settlement was done, farmers had to find other things to grow, obviously. Bourbon County has turned to grain production in a huge way. We typically rank in the top 5 in production of grains, wheats and barley and corn of any of the counties in Kentucky, even competitive with the far western Kentucky counties, which grow nothing but grain pretty much these days. Do you know what the #1 agricultural export of Kentucky is? Anybody? Poultry. It's the #1 export of agricultural products in Kentucky. Chickens are raised in the far western counties, and the reason Tyson and Purdue and those kind of companies build those factories in western Kentucky is because of the grain that's raised out there. Most of the grain, about 80% of the grain that's raised in those western Kentucky counties goes to feed chickens. It's more money than cattle, it's more money than thoroughbred horses, more money than everything. The #1 export is poultry. We don't have any chicken farms in Bourbon County that I know of, but it's amazing how many people have chickens in their front yard. You drive around Paris, that seems to be the thing to do. CMWA is our largest employer in Bourbon County. We're very, very fortunate to have them. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They do produce all the wheels that are put on vehicles that go to the TMMK plant in Georgetown. My understanding that the folks in Georgetown will tell you every 58 seconds, I think, Camry comes off the assembly line in Georgetown, 2 shifts a day, Monday through Friday. Think about that, every 58 seconds. And each one of those Camrys that comes out that door every 58 seconds has 5 wheels on it made in Paris plant, CMWA. Because thank goodness the Camrys still have a full-size spare tire in them. They don't have the small ones. So CMWA has been in Bourbon County since 1984, 85, I think, is when that plant was built. It was just before they actually built the Toyota plant in Georgetown. So it's part of the overall plan. CMWA is the primary, I think 70% is owned by Toyota Tsushu, which owns Toyota, and all related companies. Kentucky Smelting is on this campus. Kentucky Smelting actually brings in the aluminum and steel ingots and melts them down and to be able to make the wheels. That's all owned by Toyota Tsushu. The Toyota Tsushu is very prominent in Bourbon County. The CMWA is our largest employer. This plant, to the left is the original plant. They make 2 kinds of products. They make steel wheels and aluminum wheels. I'm not sure what type of vehicle the steel wheel goes on, which one is aluminum. I guess you can order them either way, probably. But apparently there's still worldwide demand for both types of products. The KST that's on top of the building, that is Kentucky Smelting. That's where they bring in the ingots and basically create the raw product to develop and make the wheels. Now, a few years ago, we had an expansion, thank goodness, of this plant in Paris. And the white box aluminum wheel plant expansion is the footprint of where they spent $180 million to expand their production of aluminum wheels. They went from 2 million wheels a year to 3 million wheels a year in production to meet their demand. This is just a map. I know it's a busy map. It's a map of all of the CMW manufacturers around the world. Most of them are in Asia. You can go ahead and change, Jeremy. They are our largest standing employer, 800 employees. The 2019 is when the expansion started. It's been $180 million, created 250 jobs. In the next couple of years, or 21 and 22, they did some more expansion, added another few jobs. But there's also a projected expansion for 25 and 26, and that's in conjunction with the projected expansion in Georgetown at the Toyota plant. I think they're going to start making electric vehicles there as part of their plan. So they're going to make more wheels in Paris to put on those Toyotas. Now, CMWA doesn't sell wheels only to Toyota. There's a couple other companies that that are their customers. So their entire production does not go to Georgetown, but every vehicle that comes out of the Georgetown plant has wheels on it that are made in Paris. The expansion of 250 jobs was quite a challenge for Mr. Jeff Birdsong, who was then the plant manager, to hire that many people. There's a reason for that. There weren't 250 people living in Bourbon County that were looking for jobs at the time, but they have met that goal, and they have been fully staffed, and they're making wheels in their plant now. Go ahead. Now, this is a chart that I'm sure all of you have memorized. In fact, I think, Rolando, you may have originally created this, or you provided this to Gordon Wilson maybe a long time ago. This is just a busy chart about where people live that work in Bourbon County. What it will tell you is that most of the people that live in Bourbon County and work don't work in Bourbon County. They work somewhere else. So they leave the county. I think the number, there's the top line is the different counties that people commute to Bourbon County from. There's obviously several different ones. 4,142 people drive to Bourbon County every day to go to work. The number on the left there, the 2,676, is that what it says? For those of you that see better than I, that's the people that live and work in Bourbon County. Now, I can vaguely remember from the statistics class I had in college, these numbers sometimes won't add up, right? You can try to do the math and maybe they'll make sense and maybe it won't. But what the message is that 51% of the people that went to work in Bourbon County today do not live in Bourbon County. 51%. I don't know if that's true in Page County or Scott County, it may be, but I know for sure that's the way it is in Bourbon County. The primary reason they don't live in Bourbon County is because there are no houses for them to live in, or apartments, or condos, or townhouses. They don't have any place to live. That's our biggest economic problem that we face, and that's true in a lot of communities. Is housing. 51% of the people that went to work in Bourbon County live outside of Bourbon County. That's important for us to remember. Plus, on top of the fact that only 56 point whatever percent of the people that are able to work and live in Bourbon County don't go to work. They choose not to go to work. I'm a firm believer that if somebody wants a job today, they can get a job. May not be the job they want, it might not be the perfect job. But if someone comes to me and tells me I can't find a job, they're not looking for a job. We know that, right? Everybody in this room agree with me. If you can't find a job today, you don't want a job. We need to change that. And I think that's where you all have the most impact, is in incentivizing people to go to work, training them, changing their outlook about working and changing what's important to them when it comes to work and sustaining themselves. We can debate about the reasons for the workforce utilization numbers, and we could talk about that for hours and hours and hours. We can't solve that here today. We're all working on it. My part is to incentivize businesses to come to Bourbon County, to try to create jobs. Your part is to get people to work, teach them how to work, teach them how to go through an interview process, all those kinds of things that you do. I know you do. And what you do is so important to Bourbon County. This is an interesting number. Well, I know you remember this one. It makes sense. I can't make the numbers add up, but it says the number of full-time workers in 2022 in Bourbon County was 7,771. I'm not sure if that includes agricultural workers or not. Do you think it does?
I can't remember this one per se, because there was like 4 or 5 that I ran, but I believe this one is in all industries that it pulled it from. So that this one pulled it from all industries, that includes all the industries in Bourbon County.
Okay.
Because there was one that I broke it down by automotive,
Right.
the 6 demand sectors that we had, but I believe this one's all industries.
As you can see by this 10 years summary, the number of people working in Bourbon County has steadily gone up, not dramatically, but has gone up. As you can see in the second column, the wages have typically, except for one glitch in 2017 or 2016, the wages have gone up steadily. That's a good thing. The 10-year change in employment is what troubles me. Every year up until 2022, we lost jobs in Bourbon County compared to 10 years prior to that. translate that correctly?
That's correct.
So, for instance, in 2003, there were 71 more jobs in Bourbon County than there was in 2013. That's troubling to me, because we did that consistently for 9 years until the CMWA expansion. That's what changed things. And then the 1 year change from year to year, that comes and goes. Obviously, there's a few minuses there. Mostly they're going up. 179 more in 2022 than in the previous year. So that's a good thing. Hopefully we've turned the corner, we've changed direction a little bit, and we're making some progress with that.
In January of 2024, you should have your figures for 2023.
Okay. That's when we'll be able to do that. Okay. Go ahead, John. Is my iron half up, Ronnie? You can ask me about anything you want to ask me. I don't know if I bored you to death or told you something you hadn't heard before. Or I didn't make anything up, I promise. Or regret probably made up everything you shared.
He also never had a movie filmed in Bourbon County either, right?
That's right. There's been, I think, about a dozen movies made in Bourbon County. The most recent one was
Beyond Suspicion.
Above Suspicion, about the true story about the FBI agent in Harlan County that murdered his informant. It was, I don't know if you saw that or not. That was made in Bourbon County. The first year I was in office, it was quite an interesting experience. The best part about it was the commissary that they set up right behind the courthouse, where all the actors and crew members and all the courthouse employees got to go over and eat every day. And they ate like kings and queens, let me tell you. It was a lot of fun, for sure. Anything you'd like to ask about or have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
On your first TDI grant that you were given.
Yes.
How many acres and did that cover and what was your TDI grant?
The first round of PDI money was based on population. Remember, all 120 counties there was a designated amount of money, and I think the total for Bourbon and Nicholas County was close to $800,000. Nicholas County is one of our smallest population counties. I think they're somewhere around 8,000 people. Does that sound right, David?
All right.
Bourbon County's 20,285. So our allocation was larger, but we agreed we would put those monies together in a pot because that's what the Department of Local Government told us you need to do in order to be selected to win this money. Work together, create a regional partnership, and you will be awarded this money. And it's true, we were. So we got that money, we bought that land, 100 acres, 101 acres. I think that map says 99 points. So we actually had a survey and it ended up being 101 acres. We agreed, and you know, Bourbon County Fiscal Court had no reservation whatsoever about, even though we were awarded more money, and no reservation about partnering with Nicholas County and putting all that money together in a pool. And we agreed that any expenses that would happen outside of the grant money, we would share 50-50. So it's a real partnership and it works. And the second round came along, and I think the maximum that they allocated was $2 million for each county. But they changed the criteria of how they were awarded. So some of our Bluegrass Ag counties have been successful and have been told they're going to be awarded. That's a great thing. But we weren't. So we'll have to figure out how we pay for an architect to design the park and those kinds of things. We're working with Kentucky Utilities and Columbia Gas. Kentucky American Water announced yesterday that, what is today? Wednesday. On Monday, the Public Service Commission granted them permission to build a 16-inch water line from the Bourbon County line, the Bourbon-Fayette County line to the Bourbon-Nicholas County line to supply that industrial park because there's not sufficient water supply. That was great news for us, thrilling, certainly, to enhance the water supply. And MB Rail is going across the property, so that's huge. So we have all the pieces, parts for the industrial park. Electricity, water, gas, and railroad. That's what companies are looking for. And the fact that we have all of them on this property is a great thing. So we're very hopeful about the future. Anyone else?
Do you have a plan for housing and affordable housing to match the job growth and goals that of your community?
We've probably got about a dozen plans. Not sure which one will be implemented. Our previous planning administrator, Andrea Pompey, was very adept at recruiting at University of Kentucky, University of Cincinnati, University of Louisville, all did housing studies for Bourbon County. They came and looked at our community and said, this is what you need, or this is what's missing. And one of the interesting things, I always use this as an example, when they did these studies, this was probably 2020. Bourbon County High School, which has a student enrollment of about 850 students, had 66 full-time teachers. Only 6 of them lived in Bourbon County. So that's pretty alarming. And if you talk to those 60 who didn't live in Bourbon County, they'll tell you it's because there was nothing for me to buy or to rent in Bourbon County. That's the problem. So they lived in Fayette County and Georgetown or Winchester and drive to Paris every day to work. So it's very troubling. Again, historically, there's been real resistance to developing properties. That's one of the reasons that the Joint Industrial Park, just outside of Millersburg on the Nicholas County line, is very exciting because that's the direction we're very hopeful that we can see growth and development in Bourbon County. If you look at Paris Pike, that land's never going to be for sale to build houses on. If you look out 460, even though we've been successful in improving the safety of the road, the land surrounding it is not going to be for sale. If you go out US 627, which goes to Winchester from Paris, that's Claiborne Farm and Stone Farm, and that land's never going to be for sale, right? If you go toward Millersburg on US 68, there's potential for development of housing property there. Plus, we have opportunities for infill in the city of Paris. The city of Millersburg has great opportunity for expansion in housing. Kevin Smith with Community Ventures is in Millersburg. Kevin lives in Millersburg. Have you ever been to Mustard Seed Hill in Millersburg? It's a wonderful facility. It's amazing what $25 million can do to an old school campus. But, Community Ventures bought the old Millersburg Military Institute campus there and turned it into a showplace. But they're trying to encourage housing, and Kevin is working with architects to develop some plans. But that portion of that end of Bourbon County is where the housing is going to have to happen. If it happens, it will. You know, that the resistance, the historic resistance that I mentioned, that changes over time because there's different generations of families that are in charge of all that wealth, right? As younger people take over the reins of some of that wealth, they're a little more open-minded and more prosperous in their thinking about the community and what they want for the future. That changes in time. Have a real quick, Robin, can I have just a couple more minutes, please? Sorry. Okay, John?
Yes.
One interesting fact, like I mentioned, I spent 30 years at IBM. It always intrigued me about how IBM started here in Lexington and what's now the Lexmark plant. IBM originally intended to build that factory in Bourbon County. Thomas Watson went to the board of directors of IBM and asked him to buy land in Bourbon County to build a factory to build electronic typewriters. So they did. They bought the land in Bourbon County, and the folks that didn't want growth in Bourbon County, basically ran them out of Bourbon County. That's when they bought the land, that was the Lexmark factory that we now know. There wasn't any such thing as New Circle Road then. I guess that was 1956. That's how they ended up in Lexington. Their business plan was never to build a factory in a city with more than 10,000 people. So they built their factories in small towns that were close to cities that had colleges in them. So Paris and Bourbon County was ideal, because the population back in the 50s was 7,000 or 8,000. And we had Lexington, the University of Kentucky and Transylvania here, close by. But Lexington at the time, it was basically a sleepy college town. The tobacco industry was prominent here. You had the university was the largest employer. Nothing like it is today. But IBM intended to build that factory in Bourbon County. They basically were run out of town. When I was a manager, I got to go to different classes at different times. I went to Armonk, New York, which is the headquarters for IBM. They have an archive there where they have all the minutes for the board of directors meeting. And I went and looked up the board of directors meeting where they approved buying the land, where Thomas Watson came back to the board of directors and said, we're going to sell this land. They don't want us to build this factory in Paris, Kentucky. Don't want you to buy land in Fayette County, Kentucky and build it there. It's all in the minutes. It's true. Now as I said, there are different generations of folks running those horse farms and that family wealth today. Maybe that wouldn't happen today. I hope not. But that's a factual statement. It's true. I didn't make that up. That's fact. That's what we've been dealing with in Bourbon County for the last 100 years. We have our challenges. I promise I'll shut up.
And like, as a side note, in Bourbon County, they have a wonderful drive-in. The family that owns it, I don't know if it's a family that owns it, but every time we go, they're so nice. And they have a nice area, playground for the kids. Typically me and Bonnie go to the Paradise Cafe and eat, and then we go catch a movie during the summer and the fall.
Bourbon Drive-In has been run by the same family since it opened in 1955.
Oh.
My grandfather ran a service station across the road from there. So I played on that ground when they were building that drive-in. And the same family still owns it.
That's
a
wonderful.
different generation, early line. It's for sale, by the way. Anybody wants to buy a drive-in, there's only 8 in the state of Kentucky.
It is, but it's packed it is packed every
It's quite a treat. Concession stand food is certainly healthy.
Oh, yes.
I encourage you to take the concession stand food.
Thanks, Judge.
Thank you so much. All right. Great information and plenty of, thank you so much. Now, our next presentation is our group over here. We've got, I get my glasses on so I can read. We've got Everybody Counts presentation by Chris Sanders and T. Ebony Moraine. Yes. All right. I'm interested to hear this as well.
Yeah.
It's okay if I sit? Excellent, excellent. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chris Sanders. I have the pleasure to serve as the Executive Director for Everybody Counts. This is an initiative out of our governor's office. Thank you. Yes, I'll just a second here, pull that up. And my regional coordinator that's here with me, T. Ebony, supports the Franklin, Fayette, and Scott County region. Her peer, Vanessa Landis, supports our Jefferson County and Shelby County region. So those are the 5 counties that our initiative right now covers. A little bit of history, in case you're not familiar with Everybody Counts. It did start in Jefferson County back in 21 and 22. And I believe at that time, Dr. Kish Price was in charge of the initiative. Passed that over to Ms. Kenina Porter back in January of this year. And Kenina unfortunately passed away in July, and we lost her leadership. And allowed myself to come into the role as executive director. So I've been with the initiative since February. But if you know me, you know that I have a singular and very simple aim. I'm a military brat, so I'm using this acronym intentionally, and that is to amplify aptitudes, ignite interests, and motivate movement along a pathway. That could be a career pathway, that can be an educational pathway, it could be a combination of both. And that essentially is what Everybody Counts is. So it matches up really well with what I'm passionate about and what I like to do. And that's to help people find what they want to be when they grow up, because I'm still trying to figure it out myself. I'll kind of move through the presentation a little bit with you. I'm not going to read slide by slide, but we do aim to provide access for students, and specifically working with seniors in those 5 counties. We represent over 20 high schools across those 5 counties. Again, Jefferson, Shelby, Franklin, Scott, and Fayette, if you're kind of going east to west along that 64 corridor. We have active college and career coaches that are in those high schools 2 to 4 days a week. And so our coaches here in Fayette County specifically, working with 4 program schools. We're in the Success Academy, the Learning Center, MLK Academy, and STEAM Academy, working directly with those seniors to help support them with a plan post-graduation. So what do you want to do based on your aptitudes, the things that you're already good at, your interests, the things that you're interested in, and how can those coaches in those schools motivate them to make a plan so that they have something to latch onto after high school. And to the judge's point earlier, we do support more than just a college avenue after high school. We look at the individual and try to support them for what they're looking for after their high school experience. And if that requires education and or training, we will support the application for that particular education or training, whether that's a community college, a proper university with scholarship dollars through FAFSA, or if you don't have eligibility for certain Title IV FAFSA dollars, where can you find exterior funding to help you with that particular journey? Maybe it's an employer who has employment benefits that will help you then obtain that job and then obtain that education that you need to continue with that career advancement. So we work very closely with our workforce boards. Alisher was on a meeting earlier this week with really all of the representatives across the Education and Labor Cabinet, which is where our initiative sits. And we like to say that we want to, again, build our initiative around the communities and help to support the infrastructure so these young adults leave high school and they move on to careers that are available within the communities and where they live. So whether that's Bourbon County or here in Fayette, while we're not active in Bourbon County, we recognize there might be employment right from these counties that we're supporting that those students can take advantage of. But it's a exposure to things that a young adult might not know exist. And so you mentioned CSX as the railway company earlier. They are one of our business partners. And in talking with young adults, they think CSX might just be working a railroad job or being a conductor on the train. Well, CSX is also a business, and they have salespeople, communications people, and accountants, and marketing people. And so how do you see a business more than just maybe what it does in terms of transportation and logistics, but the holistic part of that business? And you might have to start somewhere in that business to then be cultivated and grown and trained to do the jobs that you may be taking on. So we want to make sure that those individuals have a future. It is beyond basic, as we call out in our tagline. If you want to move to the next slide, it's just, again, a quote from our governor on why he feels this initiative is important. And again, we want to make sure those individuals not only have a plan in their senior year, so that by the time they receive that diploma, they're walking away towards that plan, but we follow them. Our coaches maintain engagement with those graduates for 1 year post-graduation. So this past school year, we were in the schools, those 5 districts, for the latter part of the school year with coaches. We wrapped up that school year, and we've been following some of those 22, 23 year graduates into the fall, whether they're attending a community college, they're working with one of our business partners, or they're working with a business. Wanting to make sure that they are showing up with our coaches, asking, hopefully next month, I need to file my taxes. How do I do that? We'd love to be able to help students navigate that next step in that year after graduation where kind of life happens. Because, as we set up our plans after high school, nothing really changes. It all stays the same. There's no bumps or speed bumps or roadblocks along the way, right, Judge? There's always something that might change. And so I might have a plan to go to college, but then life happened in July And now I actually need to get a job too. My college experience was working part-time as well as going to school as a first-generation student. My dad was in the military and my mom was a military mom. In my high school years, I did 3 high schools in 4 years. 2 of them were overseas in Germany. And I came back and I jokingly say, but I did do my final Kentucky ILP in 1 semester because it took my guidance counselor the fall semester to figure out that I wasn't there the prior 3 years. So that was a lot of fun in my personal experience. But we want to see these graduates successful, regardless of plans and if they do change. Our coaches are around to make sure that they have a network of individuals, employers, and resources that those students can take advantage of, and ultimately the young adults can take advantage of. So again, I mentioned access, pathway opportunities, and our support. So why am I here and talking to you all? Well, we're obviously expanding our footprint into Fayette County, and we want to make sure that we're partnered with those that are influencing the community and influencing these young adults. So if you represent an employer, we'd love to know more about your companies. We'd love to know more about how you support high school graduates with employment opportunities and their educational benefits that might come along with that employment opportunity. If you're a community organization, what resources do you provide and services do you provide that help those young adults navigate the barriers to employment or educational opportunities like transportation, like living, any of the basic needs that individuals need to make sure are secured before they really can move on to that top of the pyramid self-actualization. We want to make sure that they have those supports as they navigate life after high school when it becomes real, right? And we want to make sure we're doing that. So these are some of the things that we do. And as I'm talking, I brought some goodies. These are not edibles though. These you can't eat, but they are little popper stress balls that our youth really do like. And so I brought some of those for you all. And I'm doing what I do with my students sometimes is active participation for prizes. I see Pam's ready. So Pam, you got a hold that hand. Do you know how many graduating seniors that we saw across those 5 districts this past year, 22, 23?
That was a question I had for you. No.
Anybody want to take a guess? How many graduating seniors out of those 5 districts? 22 graduating seniors?
No, that's too low. I was gonna say 2,500.
Keep going. There's 6,000 graduates just out of Jefferson County.
Okay.
I was gonna say, you know.
And how many counties is
Dig
it?
it
5
down.
counties.
5 counties.
3,000, 12,000.
15?
Who said 12,000?
I did 11.
It's 12,000 is, we're almost at 12,000. It's like 11,800 and some change. So I'm gonna give you a stressy ball.
Well, thank you.
And then you got the closest, so you're gonna get the stressy ball.
I'll
Oh,
give
sorry.
this to my baby. Thank you.
So that's a real number. I mean, that's
Wow.
12,000 young adults, 6,000 graduates on average from Jefferson County alone. It's the 30th largest school district in the nation, right? So it's the largest in Kentucky. Fayette's second. You have just shy of 3,000 graduates every year on average, right? And so the other 3 counties represent your other 1,000 and you know some change there. So about 1,500 students. So that's the total number of students that we have the opportunity to influence. Are we in every single high school? No. I'm only in about 45% of the high schools in Jefferson County. I don't have a coach for every single high school. I don't have a coach in every single Fayette high school. There are college and career readiness coaches in some of those high schools already. So again, we want to partner with our districts to fill in the gaps where they don't have that type of support, or they're not able to give that individualized support to what we call the 80%, right? The top 10% that have the 30-something ACT, that have the scholarships and the GPAs, they're going to the centers and the transies and the Georgetowns or the Campbellsville privates or the public UKs or U of Ls. They know where they're going. And you have the 10% at the bottom that are the most at risk, or our overloaded guidance counselors are spending a lot of their time to make sure that they at least just graduate, right? And so we're trying to support that 80% in the middle that they might still be exploring. They may not know their pathway may be chosen in 9th grade, but they might be going into something else after they finish. So that's where we want to see the biggest influence with our coaches, by doing what you see on the screen, fostering those partnerships, convening community organizations and businesses, education partners like the KCTCS system, like Simmons College of Kentucky out of Louisville that's utilizing the Evolve 502 scholarship. How can we amplify the Work Ready scholarships to more students? How can we model the Evolve 502 scholarship out of Jefferson County to other counties to provide last dollar money to students so they can go to college debt free? So those are the types of things that we hope to coordinate. In addition to signing day events, that day of celebration for students when they've made that decision and they have latched onto an employer after high school. And there may be a TOPI in Franklin County that the student's going to go work for, and we want to make sure that they're signing that certificate that I'm joining TOPI after high school, like I signed my soccer letter of intent when I was going to college. Again, to recognize those students on that achievement, because the plan is an achievement. Graduation is also an achievement. They need more of that positive reinforcement that they're doing the things that they need to do. Y'all feeling my positive energy? You feeling a little bit of that today? Good, good. And we're preparing and training coaches. This is a full-time role. These individuals are paid a salary, and they are there to be a professional, positive resource in that school on a regular basis, to make sure that they have exposure to all of the things that we all in this room probably know someone is willing to help. If anyone walked to your office today and asked for help, I'm sure most of you would say, I will do the best that I can, but if I can't, I will find somebody that probably can help you more than I can, right? And that is something I don't think young people understand in terms of their social capital, right? Be able to ask that question, be able to ask for help while they're walking into their supervisor's office, trying to understand how to navigate a life circumstance where they don't get laid off, to walking in to talk to an advisor or a financial aid office on a college campus on why certain things are happening to their student experience. So that is where the coaches come in. And the next slide, I think, talks a little bit more about our showcase of employment opportunities, educational opportunities. So business partners with us, if we're at one of our events in a school, we're able to amplify those opportunities, vacancies that you might have with your business, career ladder opportunities. So understanding what entry level and then the promotion and advancement opportunities are within your particular company. And again, working with partners to show them what it means to work for the company and see those pay increases over time, to see what a 30-year pension might look like if that exists within a particular company like Ford. Work there 30 years and be on a pension. I would be at that mark right now if I started working back when I graduated high school. That's something that's just remarkable to me, that individuals don't understand what that might look like. And then again, I think by doing that and putting people on a right path that has support, that has motivation and goals attached to it, we deter and reduce the prevalence of violence. We try to uplift those communities in which those students are living and working. So if you partner with us, what we expect from you is that you participate with us in our hiring events, our activities, go into the schools and meet with our coaches. We will cultivate groups of students that have expressed interest specifically in a business, and we try to bring those businesses to the schools to talk to those students about those opportunities. Provide employment opportunities and make our coaches aware of where those students can express interest and make that application. And if they're not moving through that hiring process with you, it's okay for us to give you a call and say, what can we do to support that young person? Do they need to brush up on their interview skills? Do they have something in their background that we need to try to resolve? Are they not showing up when they say they're going to show up? What can we do to make sure that that individual not just stop, right? I'll stop because of one small speed bump. You didn't call me back after 2 weeks. I've had job applications where I've never been called back. But it's an all stop sometimes because that young person doesn't have the social capital, right? Or the network of individuals to touch base with and reach out to. So we just want to make sure, again, we're improving that hiring process as well so that it is inclusive. It removes unnecessary barriers, and if the young person understands how they can fulfill that particular component. Because it's as simple as not having a social security number. Some of our young people don't have access to it. And you would think that everybody would know what their social security number is, but that's not necessarily the case. And so if they don't apply for your job because that's a requirement, our coaches can kind of help get that done and keep them moving. And that's not an obstacle. I think the final slide is just, again, more around some of the materials that we ask that you all would help design to help us promote you. And that can be a workforce board. That can be employers, again, community orgs, educational institutions. And that we work with you all to build those mentor supports, build connections back with the coach after they've been employed so they feel like they have that sense of belonging, that connective tissue that's needed for them to retain as employees. It's one thing to hire them. We want to see that they stay on and make it past 90 days of probationary periods or ultimately to that first year of getting that W-2, right, where they can show that they've earned a full year's worth of money. So that's essentially what we're about. There's contact information. There's our website. I do have one of these for everybody. You didn't just have to participate today, so I'll have those for you after the meeting. And happy to answer any questions. I actually love and prefer the questions mostly.
How many coaches are there?
We will have 16 coaches this year. We have 14 now, 2 on the way. So 8 in each region.
What would it take for you to have a presence in Birmingham?
For the governor to say, go to Bergen County. It would take a discovery of what employment opportunities are available. I learned a little bit about that today. We've made some notes. And understanding what kind of supports you do and don't have in your high school, public school system. So if college and career readiness is something that might be needed. That's something that we can talk about. But again, if they graduate and have nowhere to go, nowhere to live, then that would be something we want to make sure that we address, so that we're the pull factor of sending someone out of your county to someplace else to work, but coming back to live, right? Or vice versa. Right? You can get by my card later and we can talk about that too. So, yeah.
I have a question, and I deal with a lot of counselors and actually try to train counselors, which is, similar to your coach that you're speaking of.
Yes.
They're heavy, constantly heavy, as the judge mentioned earlier, college. And I'm a representative of apprenticeship, which is a lot of times thought of as the opposite of college, because when we get a job, then we're going to train, not train, and then try to find a job.
Right.
And I want to hope that your coaches are well versed, which I didn't see any representation. I see a lot of employer parts, which I like, but I didn't see anything about employers who train their employees.
That's a fair call out. Last month was our apprenticeship month. We spent the entire month highlighting apprenticeships. And so we're working with Marty Hammonds, Michelle Desch, Benny Richardson. We're working with them to understand more about the employers that are available with apprenticeships. Because I'm also, like I said, educated in Germany. There are 2 places you go, apprenticeship or university.
Germany's heavy.
And I came back, I could actually share that paper with you if you'd like, and share it with Kenina before she passed. But I wrote that paper as my high school kind of workforce. Why don't we have more apprenticeships? Why don't we have more career readiness?
And that's one thing that I fight for all the time. There's not a presence in the high schools. You see college advertisements everywhere in a high school. You don't see any apprenticeship, hardly at all. You go to some of the ATCs, you'll see some.
Right.
Usually just the union ones.
Fair. And I know Northern Kentucky recently did a apprenticeship fair through the apprenticeship office of Employment Services and Apprenticeship. So I can promise you that what we are promoting all types of opportunities beyond high school and apprenticeships, whether that's a youth apprenticeship through a JCTC, BCTC, a pre-apprenticeship, Kentucky registered apprenticeship.
The registered apprenticeship is the only one that I promote.
Yeah, we're working to have this position become a registered apprenticeship. That is something that we've been talking about with that office, of how we can take our coaches and put that level of certification on top of them, so it becomes really a model for the state. If you're going to have college and career coaching in your district, follow this model, right? And that model will include all of the different pathways that are available to young adults within the state of Kentucky, because that's our focus. We want the talent to stay in Kentucky.
And that was my question too. I was gonna follow up on what percentage of the students, I know it's a newer initiative and everything going with it, and it's great what you guys are doing because everybody needs that. What percentage is going, and I know it's hard probably off the top to track it all because 1 year, but what's going to college, what's going to different trades, what's going straight into the workforce.
Oh, absolutely. KY Stats has all that data. It's available to you now if you want to take a look at it. But the numbers that I've seen across our 5 districts, you're looking at somewhere between 28 to 36% going to college. You're looking at about 32% going to work. And then the other 38 to 40% is a combination of both. And then you have like an other category in there. So it's going to vary by district and county, but we can pull those numbers out. Rolando's showing you KY Stats data. Judge showed you some KY Stats on the mobility things. So yeah, it's again, 30%, almost 40% college and work. So it's the 10% bucket of other, and then you have like a 3% military, going into one of those particular areas. So
I oversee Nebraska and Northern Kentucky, and I was at a 2-day event in Northern Kentucky. The amount of the seniors that came in, I talked to so many seniors on those 2 days that didn't know what they wanted to do. They didn't. They said, I don't know.
I know.
I don't know. Yeah, and then it was amazing. Some did said, I want to go to school. Some were talking about the trades, because I believe that you can go into be a master plumber or what have you. But I was surprised of all the people that I spoke with, of the seniors that had no clue, said, I do not know what I want to do. But, all those employers were there, and a lot of them were apprenticeship. So it was promoting that too, but it was really good. Not good, but it's eye-opening, really, using that. Yeah.
It is, especially when you talk to some of the schools where, the student has indicated their pathway as a freshman, right? This is the case of JCPS, they have their academies, right? You choose your pathway, graduate from your pathway and go on to welding, because that's the pathway that you chose, and you're kind of recognized. But if you choose something else, you're sometimes not recognized if you choose a different pathway. So that's kind of the purpose why we're there. We want to make sure, if you're not really sure, at least have a plan. You've at least applied to the colleges, you've been accepted, you've got the financial aid offer, whether you use it or not, right? That's really up to you. You have 3 more months to decide if you're going to show up to the campus, or at least go to orientation.
Yeah, I think a lot of them they need guidance.
Right.
And they might not have it at home.
Right.
They could, but just the guidance, because just getting lost. Just when someone is, it's the same sense when someone's incarcerated and coming out. But if they have those resources that they're aware of and not get lost, maybe go backward. And it's kind of like in the same sense, but seniors not having and knowing the resources that are available. What can I do? Because there are pathways.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. We've got career center resources. We have vocational rehab resources there. I mean, if they're, heaven forbid, unemployed, there's unemployment resources. So again, it's just making sure that they're connected to those pieces. We work closely with Metro United Way in Jefferson County for referral services, which again, when you're in your high school environment, your guidance counselor can connect you to those things, right? If you need maybe some mental health types of issues going on, you need some support there. We're not clinical counselors, we're coaches. We're trying to make sure you're pulling the right clubs out of the bag when you go to hit the shot, right? So, but that's something that we want to be aware of as they become young adults and start navigating life on their own, because you're right. The influencer, and I don't use parents or guardians, I say influencer, because at home could be the grandparent, could be an uncle, could be your neighbor, maybe it's your coach, whoever that is that's going to give you that advocacy and positive support. That's the audience that we want to be in front of for those young people to say, at least try it, right? Subway may not be the most ideal job for you right out of the way, but that's how I started. And there's a path that you can follow, and let me help you guide you along that path and get you back on the right path when you start to make maybe a wrong decision. So.
And you follow these after graduation for a year is what I heard?
For a year, that's the plan for right now. I'd love to expand that beyond, especially those college-bound students, to make sure that they fulfill their degree. That's my academic background, doing academic advising formally at universities. So retaining employees and retaining students is kind of near and dear.
I would love if you could get it to 2 years.
I'm 4 months formally into the role, so we're going to work on that going into next year.
Yeah, that's one of the things I talk with teachers, counselors, mentors alike. I said, okay, your success, that a lot of people look at the picture and they think it's a little funny tassel hat. They think that's success. No, success is being successfully employed and being able to pay your bills 2, 3, 4 years after.
That's right. That's right. So really quickly, we have 4 pillars that we've identified as part of our coaching model. The pillars that kind of, they work alongside the ILP process within the school districts, but they also work alongside some of the curriculum as well. So we want to make sure that the individual walks away with an understanding of workplace for employability ethics. What is going to be required of you to go step into be an employee. So the coaches have, curriculum's not the right word, but activities and things that they will communicate around. And we have a platform called Pathful Explore that we use to promote those workplace ethics, those employability skills. We also focus on financial literacy so that the student understands how to build a budget, What types of funding should they expect if they're going into particular environments like a college or a career? What it means to live in a particular place, and what cost of living looks like. We also work around time management. We want to make sure that they understand what it means to schedule time, and what I call blue box time, if you're familiar with this, banking time for particular tasks, identifying where much time it does take. And then the final is a living well or well-being emphasis. So how do you make sure that you are taking care of yourself and you have those around you that can help support you when you need it? So those are some things that we hope to model out as we build our initiative.
I think you and I could talk for a while.
I like what I do. I love what I do. And I love the fact that really anyone around this table has a heart for young adults and having them have a positive future. And so that makes me in good company. And that's why you all get a gift. So you'll think about me at some point in time. I also have cards. Tiffany, I'm sure we'll be happy to work with you all directly as the regional coordinator for Fayette County. And I know we've talked and worked with Rolando and Franklin County before on some of our partnerships. So that's.
If you're working with Rolly over there, Rolly can probably link everybody up with you as needed.
Yeah.
And, the future thing, I think Rolly can, link us up for.
Yeah, we've been in Fayette County. This is, let's see, 4 months now, since August, technically with our school and our relationship. So, we're halfway through our year. So we're building, as T says. And the plane's in the air. I'm just trying to find the engines for the thing right now, right? So I appreciate y'all's support and look forward to staying connected and answering any questions from today or beyond.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We actually had two presentations that took us through some time. And just to be polite, because I do a lot of classes with old people, I'll just tell you this. And if anybody needs to take a break for a moment, the restrooms outside, let's take about a 5-minute time to get a drink of water or a break, and then we'll get right back to it.
Go get your kids.
Yes, we got to do that. I'm one of those old people.
All right.
Hey, how are you? I'm in the shade.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we'll train that out.
You got last night?
Yeah, we took CR classes up there.
So we went last we got a new bike. We'll have that going out. If your space, places people are gonna wanna save it, right? Elementary, have that house library. Make sure they get that. And then we have to prototype.
Gotcha.
Right, like, hey, Chris is interested in this, great, connect me to Chris, form and on, right? Not send Chris to some form and he fills out, and maybe he'll get a call. So more of an intentional relationship, and then when we send invitations out. You go build a space, then the other stakeholders. I am trying to figure out other incentives that we can do partnership, depending on the organization type. But ultimately, we become a megaphone for your business or to be able to get your price. So it's very regular. Right, yeah, we love the tours. IKRCC, Joe did a tour for us a few months ago. Yes, yeah, he was at the K4C event.
Yes, sir.
And we were there, so we're gonna be price sponsoring that.
So we're in the same market.
Okay, yeah, so we have that connection, so we'll book in.
For sure.
Chris.
You remember, yeah, I know, I saw that. It was great. I know, limited time.
We can talk.
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you so much.
But I could be wrong.
Yes, thank you. I know you are. You're one of our partners already. It's already signed the partnership. So we got you on board. It's just a matter of.
Jeremy, hey, did.
Well, she left. Oh, that's where the base on all is.
I was supposed to be there. I had 6 children. I didn't want to bring that. Kentucky, but I wanted to see their event. Big scale, 2-3 days.
And then
That also comes up from yes.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, all over the place, I agree with that. Now I'm on the first one.
Say that.
I've heard it, different ways, both sides of the accountability.
Yeah, who made the snack? Who made that? You did? Very good. What's it called? Apple what? Apple one.
It's like a light toasted brownie.
It wasn't exactly the big one thing. Yeah. Get back to it so we can, we got people online, so we don't have to wait.
What do you want to do? What do you like? Because I promise you that you're good. I understand the wrongs to get there, and then I don't know, just like this. They don't want
Oh, yeah, I know. Set the slideshow up. There's like, good stuff. That's yeah, we Christmas we talk. The way they do it. Yes. I know they had that Oreo. All right.
Because you never know.
You have to go.
Yes.
I just need her.
That's all I'm actually. Little stuff for my Oh, no, it's true. Yeah, my
Yeah.
We're there. Yep. She says I already have too many heads and different things. We give away stuff too.
I need great information.
But it's pretty neat. It doesn't get us all
All right, let's all grab our seats. We got people online. They're probably wondering why we took so long, but that's fine. They probably took a little extra break themselves. All right, we got, people, okay. All right, our people have been patiently waiting online. You probably enjoying some snacks and drinks at your house or wherever you're at. We do have some action items we need to take care of. And Robin, do we still have our forum with everybody here that needs to be, the amount of people?
Yes.
We didn't lose any that we're required to have. So our action items, let's start with our approval of minutes that we had in September 23, our joint meeting that we had. A lot of people there. We had our minutes that were sent to us or in front of us that were provided by Robin. Thank you, Robin, for that.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
I second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor by saying aye or wave your hand, those of you online? Aye. Thank you, that action is approved.
Oh.
Give a pause for a moment because we have something great on the next. You're fine.
Okay, so as far as the confirmation of the workforce director, I'm probably more excited than anybody in this room, for that. Full transparency, but before that, I do want to thank you all for allowing me for the last 7, 8 months, whatever this has been, to serve as interim, and to kind of guide us through this transition. It's been beyond a blessing, to get to do that. And, you know, back in March and April, when we talked about this, you know, the goal was pretty simple. It was to get us to that point where we could identify a director to take us to new places and to really advance the programs, and to try to do so in a manner that they got to start off, not behind the 8 ball, but kind of with a clean slate and to be able to do some things. And I'm really happy to report that as of like the last week or so, we are at that point. I know probably the person happier to hear that than anybody, if Deb's still on the call, is our direct service provider. I can say that we're at a point now that we're getting our payments turned around a lot faster. We're current. October comes in, we're ready to pay. When we get November's ready to go. Colin's done a fantastic job of really getting that process on track and up to speed. So now that we're turning that around a lot faster. Also this week, Michael Bushman, our CFO, was able to start the process of wrapping up that last bit of things with our direct service provider that we had from the funds from last year. So I'm really happy to say that come January 1st, for sure, we're going to be at a level 0. We're back to everything is normal, and we're caught up. Also, I'm really excited to say that, you know, Jeremy's done a great job and Jennifer collaborating on this, and Todd. We now have new resource room computers in all 4 of the Kentucky Career Centers. So we're not having to worry about outdated equipment. We don't have situations where I think Todd had one that it took like 2 days to update, 2 days to reboot. We don't have that anymore. Now when somebody comes into the Career Center, they have modern equipment to work on that will allow them to do what they need to do in an efficient manner. And we've been able to keep all 4 Kentucky Career Centers open. So we're really excited about that. So as you saw in the meeting minutes, back at our joint meeting in September, we kind of laid out the plan of what it would look like to hire a new workforce director.
And the goal was to have somebody in place. My goal was January 4th, at 8 o'clock in the morning. But we were able to get the job posted, not that I was trying to, get rid of one of those jobs. But we were able to open that up. We did get our interviews going. We had an exceptional interview committee, Connie Schnell and Dolly Collin from the website. And also Judge Mike Williams and Judge Aubrey Gritton served, as well as we had Amy Glasscock, which was a previous workforce director, kind of served as a consultant to help us through that as well. And then myself, and we were able to go through the interview process. And I am beyond thrilled and excited that we selected Tiffany Reeves to be the new board for us. Target goal was January the 4th. However, since Tiffany is currently an employee, I was able to make that work a little bit better. So actually on November the 27th, Tiffany can start a little bit sooner. But this will serve more as an opportunity for, the board will just get an action item to like confirm that as her as the workforce director and your approval. And also, I just want to say that, we did go through a lot of applicants. We had a lot of great applicants. We narrowed it down to a few interviews, and it was apparently clear and very much unanimous across the board with the interview committee that Tiffany was the right candidate. And I'll just brag on her so her head don't get too big. But I mean, seriously, and Tiff exemplifies everything that we're trying to do in the Kentucky Career Center. She'll share more, hopefully, a little bit about herself, because we'll put you on the spot and make you talk. You didn't know that was coming, but But Tiff is exactly what we want to see with Kentucky Career Center. A little more than 12, 13 years ago, during some economic downturns in Harlan County where she lived, she came to the Career Center as a participant to look and see what other opportunities were available. And 13 years later, she becomes the director of one of the largest workforce development areas in the state. That's a testament to the power of what Kentucky Career Center can do. That's why we show up to work every day, is to see those opportunities for individuals to go from what do I do next to let me help somebody else find their path as well. That's why we do what we do. And I think beyond her experience, Tiff has pretty much served in every role we have across the Career Center, from working with the EK-SET program in Eastern Kentucky with some of our National Dislocated Worker grants, to some of the stuff that she's done here with the Career Center operations, the day-to-day as a case manager. She's pretty much done every step of it along the way, and has got a great rapport and relationship with our state partners, our local partners, and just has a passion for it. And this, as it kind of came out in the interview, this is just a natural progression for her for this next step, to lead you all and to lead this board, and to be that servant to help you all take the programs where you want them to go. So I thank you all. I really do think, on behalf of the committee, I think we got it right. I know we did actually. So we'll just, John, if we can get a motion, just to.
Well, before we get a motion, we've got to commemorate the work that Mike stepped in and took over in the absence, and he done a fantastic job. Now, I will say this and give Amy a thought. She left us in some pretty good standards, right? Absolutely. And even with Mike taking over, I know that Tiffany's been his right hand. Wow.
Tiff's been doing it for a lot longer than since.
Wow.
Let me just put it to you that way.
Portraying that role. But Mike has done a good job. I think we all deserve to give him a hand.
I won't go too far. Tiff's got lots of other stuff to share, but I'm like a bad chick. I just bounce back. So you'll see me again.
We're not getting rid of you.
I know.
Yeah, if you would, take some time. Well, we got to get this action item before. Okay. So confirmation of the new workforce director as an action item. We're looking for a motion.
A motion to approve.
A motion to approve. All right. Second. All in favor? I think we'll have this. I think we're all. Aye.
Oh, what?
Yes. Now, I'm going to turn the floor over to our new workforce director to address officially workforce board.
Well, listen, here's the funny thing. The other day, Jeremy gave me some paperwork, right? And I'm just standing there, we're just talking away, and I'm like, I'll take it down there to Mike in just a minute. And he was like, oh, that's you now. And I was like, I'm excited, I'm nervous, I got some ideas. I just can't wait to see where we go. just can't wait to see where we go. You all always support all of us so much. And that doesn't happen everywhere. Not everywhere has supportive board members and elected officials and things like that. So I'm just excited about it. That's all I've got. That's all I've got.
Welcome and thank you for taking on the role. Welcome and thank you for applying, accepting. I was speaking to a counterpart the other day and some other people's background. So was that the motion or promotion?
Let's see.
Either way, you can't go back.
It's a different title, but the workload and stress may be a motion.
The HR director says you can't go back. You
Yeah.
signed the papers.
All right. So official job duties. in our board meeting. All right. Financial report for September, October, Mr. Collins.
Well, I just want to say, in echoing just based off of what Mike said, with getting our payments, we're all moving forward. We've got all our payments going in a timely manner. Ahead of where we're at now, Tiffany set up this weekly or this monthly meeting whenever Equus sends all their stuff. She gets me, Hannah, and Rolly together, and we all just kind of walk through it together and make sure that there's nothing amiss, and there rarely is. But it's been a good thing for all of us to just kind of get cross-trained and just to know what everyone's looking for. And it's also it's put some intentionality in our teamwork to make sure that everything is done on that day, and then we can work on getting the payments together. It makes our process a lot faster. So I just want to call out that just ahead of Tiff taking that position, I've appreciated her help in helping with adding some intentionality to our process.
Great.
So anyhow, in September, we were at 18% expended on our overall budget. And that's compared with 31% on the prior year. Our admin was at 25. That's a little bit less which it was 28 in the prior year. Our adults expenditures was at 15%. And that was compared with 54% in the prior year. Dislocated worker was 14%, as compared with 30% in the prior year. Youth was at 22%, as compared with 30% in the prior year. And then we were at, on our works experience requirement, we were at 11% total on fiscal year 20. And if no one has any questions about September, I will move to October, which kind of stays with the same trend here. So we're at 23% expended on our overall budget in October. That's compared with 43% in the prior year. Our admin was at 32%, and that's down 5 from the prior year. Adult expenditures was at 17%. And that's compared with 80% in the prior year. Dislocated worker was at 18%. That was down 20% from where it was the prior year. And the youth was at 27%, as compared with 41% the prior year. And then at the end of October, we were at 14% expended on our youth work experience. And I also want to add that until this week, we were still waiting on those NFAs for our dislocated worker and adult, which the start date on those was October 1st, but we just got them this week. And in total, the allocation we got on both of those was about 260 more than what we were planning in the budget. Okay. So we were being very conservative. Now we're able to perhaps start offering more services.
Great.
And that's really great. So, you have questions for me?
So at this point, we're well under where we have been, right? And looking good as we come to December. You know, then of course it's October. As we come to the end of the year, we're looking really good for January to be very positive, right?
That's right, yeah, and we most certainly can afford a workforce director, and, there's never a question about that based on how we budget. Yeah, that's right. But it was very good news, and the folks at the state were very kind, and, you know, just hang tight with us, you know, and they finally got it through this week, so. It's good,
And-
it's good.
For a little background on that, the reason that we weren't just the ones that were delayed,
Everybody.
it was everybody, because the unemployment rate, in Leola law, there's a certain percentage that if you drop below, your unemployment rate drops below that percentage, then there's not a calculation for it, right? So they had to go, and I mean, not just Kentucky, any state had to go to DOL and say, okay, our unemployment rate's below this percentage, what do we give our people, right? What do we give our areas? And so that is why that NFA was like, but we're glad that it's
Yeah,
here.
'cause the state was waiting on their money too.
Mhm, mhm.
Anybody got questions out there in the audience? See Dolly shake her head, so she's satisfied with where.
Has that been corrected for the future?
Which being corrected?
Has it been corrected, how they're gonna calculate when it drops below? Or did
I
they
would-
just create a one-time
okay,
deal to get us
so-
through?
I know that under reauthorization, there's talk about not just looking at the UI rate, but the workforce participation rate as well. I would love to tell you that, yeah, the state's gonna say, hey, we should have, and DOL should move a little quicker on it, but I think it'll wait till we have a reauthorization. I don't think they're in a rush about that right now because of like global things, you know, happening. So next year it might be the same way, you know what I mean? We'll just make sure to bank a little back.
Yeah.
So, you know,
But, and also just to know, you know, we don't know that information, but the law also says that the allocation they're gonna send to the local areas is not gonna be less than 90% of what you got the prior year. So at least we can kind of guess it, you know, we might know the day we're gonna get it, but we can know it's not gonna be less than 90% of what we got this year when we receive it next year, so. That makes sense.
yeah, because on some of this stuff, even though, like, even myself personally, I'm like, oh, the state needs to get this together. Some of it, it's DOL, it's in DOL's hands, right? So it's just trust the process and it will all work out.
Tony, got anything to add? We good?
I'm all set. Everybody's.
Okay, we're looking for a motion to approve the financial report for September and October.
I make a motion to approve.
Got a second?
I'll second.
Got a couple of seconds, so I think we've had plenty of discussion, so all in favor, say aye or wave your hand.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion has passed. Financial report has been approved. Now, for our meeting dates, Robin?
We have the calendar in your packets of the proposed dates. This is based on what we've done this year. So those dates, it's currently the first Wednesday of the third month of each quarter, which would be March 6th, June 5th, December 4th, and September is the Leo date, so that's pending and that's not approved yet. So those are for your consideration, and we're open to negotiation though on what works best.
I got this now. As soon as I got it, I looked at my schedule, because my schedule's terrible. And it just is. I'm already scheduled past 2024, but yeah, it works fine for me. Even the pending date on September 18th. Does anyone have an issue with any of the dates that we can all adjust as needed for the majorities?
I like it. It works well for me. The consistency this year was great.
Yeah.
Scheduling in advance is wonderful.
Hearing no one raising a statement, I assume we're all good with the dates and the times. With that, we'll look for a motion to approve the dates as discussed and with the pending 18th of September, depending on the Leo's approval of that, then that may have to shift based on Leo's once they have their meeting, but we'll adjust as needed. So that being stated, look for a motion to
I'd
approve.
like to
Got a
make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those are the dates, and Robin, I'm sure you will, but please send out those Outlook reminders, because those are golden in my world. Without those,
On your calendar first.
yes,
You can book anything.
yes, actually, I put them on my calendar already, just to make sure it's something else that takes precedence over.
Good.
But we'll get the official when you send those out.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're looking at, strategic plan. We got Stacy on point for this. We looked at midpoint realignment measures, and she's got some nice, picture to talk about. Stacy.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Just as my battery came on, that my laptop is low. So if I disappear, you know why. Really quickly, hopefully everybody's had a chance to look at it. I laid out essentially what our current measures were for the strategic plan, and based on the discussions that were had and EKU's facilitation, kind of rewrote and wrote suggested proposed changes based on the discussion that was had during the joint training. So I'm just going to set that out there just to try to expedite it a little bit, because like I said, my battery is gonna falter on me here in a second. But if anybody has any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, presented for your approval.
Anybody got any questions, discussions about that? You know, with the strategic plan, I always look to Stacy as our monitor and advisor on that anyway, so.
Yeah, and I think the big changes that you'll see in there is that we did a good hard look at, despite our best efforts, there are certain things we just simply cannot control. And it goes back to us working more with partners and trying to build partners to try to address some of the issues that we were essentially, trying to handle ourselves. And we can't work in a vacuum. These are issues that are much bigger than us as individuals or any individual partner. And it's going to be things that we're going to just have to come together on and try to work out solutions for. But those were the major changes that you'll note in there. And I think the other one may have been, it was the first one, I think. And the services through the Bluegrass. That one, again, as much as we would like to have our own individual app, we did get a little bit of a hint during that meeting that, something may be in the works at another level. So it is more about providing the service than us having the bragging rights of having an app, as nice as that would be. It's just about being able to provide services for people who are, have difficulty reaching the career centers themselves. So we're going to do a little bit more out of the box thinking on that. And there's a lot of social media platforms and different platforms that we can use that are possibly free to reach those people and be able to engage with them. So we're going to try a little bit of that too. So just had to rethink. We didn't really remove the goal.
She got it all.
Yeah, she got the bulk of it, but if you all have any questions, you know what I mean, just let me know, like, on the one, like that measure for 1A, our organization, as far like our department, the WIO department and the career centers, like, we can't solve the transportation problem. Can't. That was on there, so it's like, it needed to be updated and adjusted. So what we've done is we want to increase partnership with organizations that have additional fundings to help, you know, individuals with transportation. I wish that we could solve the transportation and the childcare issue, but we're just not. So to have it to stay on our strategic plan that way is just continuously a setup for failure. So that's what I suggested, but if y'all don't have any questions.
If there's no question, I'm looking for a motion to approve the changes as shown, and you guys have backup documentation. And that Stacy has provided. Look for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve as presented.
Thank you.
I'll second.
And a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Wave your hand. That action item has been approved.
Yeah, it's on, this is, it's on the, I got it.
Now we got the informational items that we've got, which is always the cheering part of this, right? We got business to take care of, and then we got cheering part at the end. So we got our 2022 EEO compliance monitor.
So, I'm the EEO officer for our department, and, in it, it's always good when you get something back that says there's nothing wrong, right? There's nothing wrong. And there's several different, just to make sure nobody gets confused, this is the equal opportunity, monitoring, results. We also have our program monitoring, and that'll be a different one. We're getting it all finished up and all that stuff. So, but that's what this is. If anyone, you all your businesses, you know how it is with equal opportunity stuff. There's just a process that if there's a complaint, you have to follow. And we did, luckily this year, I don't think we had any. I'm trying to think back. Yeah, no, we didn't have any. So that even makes me feel better because I know that all our frontline staff are treating people with compassion, you know what I mean? And paying attention to their surroundings whenever they're talking with someone and being very intentional with how they interact with them. But that's what that is. That's good stuff.
You go right to the next
Let me
one.
slide on to the next one. The next one is, just little updates we had where me and Dolly and Stacy attended the SETA conference. Dolly, is there anything you want to say about any of the workshops you attended or anything?
I just had a few notes from that, just super quick. Just for those that are interested, the next conference is at Harrah's Cherokee Casino Resort in North Carolina. That's March 10th through 13th. And we really focused a lot in the SETA executive board meeting about how ways that they're going to improve SETA, from modernizing the bylaws, the memberships, and improving the conference experience. And I guess the other big thing that the Department of Labor was there. We had a signing ceremony for the electric vehicle initiative for the southeastern, of course, states that are involved in SETA and their commitment to keep that in the area. So that was big. That was very big. That's all I have.
And speaking of the next SETA, we were chosen to present on our joint board trainings. So we will be reaching out and talking about who needs to attend and who might want to attend. I'm not going to be able to make it. Mike Riley will be presenting with Stacy. I've got a new grandbaby coming early April, a wedding, mid-April. I've got a whole lot of stuff going on that in March I just can't. I just need to be close. So yeah. As far as the sessions that I attended at this previous SETA that we went to, I focused on the physical monitoring side. And program monitoring side. They had a couple of really good sessions about those. I always forward any of my PowerPoints to Hannah so that we can go in more detail about how we can shore up our monitoring processes that we do internally. And then I also went to a very good session that I got really connected with the individuals, and it's a different way to connect with businesses. So, Stacy, did you get hooked up?
Yes, I'm logged in from my phone, which is also run down, by the way, so may lose me again. I'm having a great day for technology.
Our planning and information person.
My phone keeps falling. I hope, first of all, did anybody have any questions about the strategic plan?
No, ma'am.
Okay, wonderful. As far as the SETA sessions that I went to, I primarily focused on outreach and identity and board and career center identity. And I learned a lot of great stuff that through those sessions. It was a wonderful gentleman out of the northern states, I think Massachusetts or Maine, talking about how you need to really think about how you identify yourself with your customers, so they recognize they're not going to know WIOA, but they may know, for example, for youth here in the Bluegrass, the KEY program, the Kentucky Employees Youth Program. And it was some great things to take home and to think about, and things that now that we have a full-time permanent, and I'm going to underline that with permanent director, new workforce director. I would like to sit down and really talk about that and do some real planning about identity and outreach, because you really can't have one without the other. You can do outreach till you're blue in the face, but if we don't know who we are, we can't identify ourselves to other people correctly. So we got to have a solid plan on how we're going to identify ourselves. And that's it.
And one last thing that Mike pointed out, since SETA is in March, Robin will send out an email, I guess a little survey or something, I don't know, about seeing who would be interested in going, so that we can get everything squared away the next full board meeting.
It's March the 6th.
So we need to know before.
Tiff, it's Debbie. I was just, I am actually going to present there in March. So I just wanted you to know, put it on the childcare crisis.
Great, awesome.
So I'd like to go.
Okay. So yeah, so Robin will reach out.
Yeah, I think that needs to be just quick, and then financially we need to make sure we have funds available for whoever wants to go. And there may be a limit to that, right? Because of the funds that may be available.
Right, normally we just, we just try to see, like, when we went to Louisville, like, everybody, because we hosted.
Yeah.
Right, but normally it's a couple of staff and a couple of, person. Yeah.
Sorry, voice my opinion, I want to go. So I missed the last couple.
But now here's the thing. Those who go from the board will definitely be part of the session.
Presentation, absolutely. I will be there, we'll do whatever type of setup we need to do.
Okay.
We'll speak. And say good words, right? So, yeah, Robin, as quick as we can get that turned around, I think that's probably because there's an early bird fee, right? That we get a discount.
Yeah, and the hotels usually book up really fast.
Yes.
And especially this year, it's the hotel's pretty affordable. It's like $134 a night, which is much less than it's been in the past. It's also drivable. It's a casino. It's a
Yeah, I'm
4 hour
gonna drive.
It's 4 hours, so.
So if anybody wants to ride, I'm gonna drive, so. Assuming I get selected.
Well, you save your money in transportation.
Yeah.
You know how to sell it, John.
Yeah. All right, so, SETA, any more to add to SETA?
No, that's got it.
And then the next one is Stacy, right? Unless she drops out or her phone dies. Sector report, Stacy.
Oh, this one's even simpler than the strategic plan. The sector reports are up on the website. The website is listed in the meeting agenda. As always, if you guys have a chance to look at it and have any questions, or if there's additional information you would like to know, please reach out to me. Other than that, submitted for you guys to review.
All right. And you're up again. With your limited technology there, we got strategic plan Q1 24.
Oh, that's just the report. I'm keeping it short this time. I'm reaching desperation levels. So yeah, that's just the report. You'll see that those are all reflective of the original goals before you guys, since I was gone, I'm going to assume voted to make those changes from
Yes,
earlier.
we did.
Wonderful. Okay. The next report will reflect the updated changes. But those you'll note there are some measures in there that we just simply couldn't meet. Overall, I think we're doing fantastic. EKU even pointed out that we are a wonderful example of a realistic planning, and that they have been very impressed with our reporting methods, and they are actually using us as a reference when they do trainings on strategic planning. They were very, very pleased with it. So that's a little bit of bragging rights for us there, but yeah, just the report for you guys to take a look at. As always, if you have questions, reach out to me.
Thanks so much, Stacy. All right, now we get to Jennifer's time to talk about our direct service provider report.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, John. In your packet, you'll have the October 23 monthly report. I won't go through all of it for the sake of time, but as you all know, we started out the year slower than normal. We still have 720 participants on our active and follow-up caseload. Our enrollments started out as projected and planned lower. Our employment to exit numbers are listed along with our credential numbers, which are always really good percents. Our outreach has started. We've started to increase that as we plan to start enrolling more after the first of the year. We have a heavy presence in adult eds. We have a heavy presence in a lot of our counties for interagency meetings. And we've always had an emphasis on behavioral health and recovery centers and populations. So we're starting to, reconnect with those agencies and partners. And then over the next few months, you'll start to see a heavy presence with foster youth. And so this aligns with TIF's vision with youth. And then we also have a staff expert that is good with youth. So you're going to start to see a lot of outreach with youth. We're in a lot of high schools with Jeremy with VR exploration, career exploration, job fairs, expungement clinics. In October, we had a first-time home buyers workshop for job seekers in the Georgetown area. We have Tamara, who has joined our team as business service. So she started in October. She's building connections and starting to engage with employers. And then I have success stories listed. I know that's super quick, and I'd be happy to entertain any questions that you all have.
Anybody have questions? Thank you for your report. All right, Todd, last man standing on our list. We got other stuff to talk about, but last man.
Well, Tiffany just sent me a text and asked if I would go over my report word by word, very slowly. So buckle up. No, just kidding. You'll see my October report there in the packet. Just a couple highlights on it. Jennifer just mentioned Tamara. I've been working with her, trying to just get her acclimated to doing some of the business services. So still going to be doing a little bit of the business services. while she gets her handle on things. And, you know, looking for us, she's been doing a really great job. So she's been catching on quick. So we'll have somebody out in the business community from now on to do our outreach and help out with those. You see a list of events and outreach that we've done in October, and then you'll see some of the community resource minute and business minute videos that Stacy and I have recorded. Really the biggest thing, you know, since Steve and Connie and the folks from CDO have moved into the Lexington office, you know, it's become a buzzing place. You know, we were there for a couple of years and we would see just a handful of folks a week. Now it's every day we've got customers coming in. It's a busy place, working great with Steve and his team. And so just really excited about what we've got going on there. And, you know, now that we're going to be able to spend a little bit more money, we'll be able to serve some of those dislocated workers and get some folks enrolled. So looking forward to that. But that's my report. And Tiff, sorry, but maybe next month we'll get to do word for word reporting.
An English accent also.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Now, I was asking Mike and about our celebration, Todd. We need to have that scheduled up. He says it's gonna have to be next year sometime. So we need to.
It's going to have to be next year, yeah.
The celebration of the cold, everything all in one place.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So be thinking about that sometime after the holidays and get us a schedule on that. We'll try to get together.
Absolutely.
Okay, we got one more item before anybody got questions for Don? He does a great report every time. So we have one more added item that's not on your all's list, but it's something that needs to be stated. I'm going to turn it over to Tiff and Roland to talk about it.
So we had applied for a Quest grant, and we got the NFA this morning that said we were approved. So it is 200,000, and it is set up for 30 individuals who are connected. We're going to partner with Shepherd's House on this, that are connected with Shepherd's House, in order to put them in internships, paid internships in the high sector fields. We're very excited about it. And then also talking about the career centers, my office won't technically be here. It will be, I'll have a landing pad here, but after the first of the year, my office will be at the Lexington Career Center. Yeah. So if you got good snacks.
You know it.
Everywhere I go, I'm like, you got snacks. But like, I'll be out more. Right, Amy, was here, but I'm gonna be out more at the career centers. My main office will be at the Lexington Career Center, and then I'll be posted up at Georgetown Richmond AD. So, but that's all we got.
Has anybody got anything they want to add? Talk about? I will tell you that, Thanksgiving just happened and Christmas is just around the corner. New Year's right after that. So as far as, my schedule, as far as a lot of people's schedule, it's all looking forward to that end of the year, Christmas and holiday season. So be safe and happy holidays, everybody.
Thank you.
Oh, we have to have a vote to adjourn, so. I'm sorry.
I'd like to make a motion.
I am. Second, all in favor?
I wasted time, right?
Well.